Is it possible to experience the infinite? Well, the experience of the infinite is something that is happening all the time. Or to put it a little bit differently, it is precisely because there is an infinity, an absolute homogeneous state, that we are able to receive the finite states as an experience, as a sentient quality. In a way, space, as an absolute, is the sensorium of which we experience or receive the quality of the finite. And in so, to experience from that point of view, from the point of view of the infinite or the absolute, or to use a different, more appropriate word, from the presence, so to be present, is to allow the experience to happen of finite objects, whether it be trees, apples, rocks, gardens, houses, whatever. The experience happens because there is an absolute, because there is a sentient quality that is present, that is moving within you. Now, of course, in a human body, we tend to experience this through the body, and therefore what we are experiencing, first and foremost, is our bodies, and our bodies react to objects, this finite extension that is moving. That point of reference in the body, though, can be moved, shifted, by creating something like astral bodies, but that is a complication which leads down certain rabbit holes. The infinite and the absolute, or space, is something that is therefore an essential element in order to have a sensory experience. If we only, if only talking about the sentient quality, then we're not talking about the participation that we can have with finite objects. We can focus our attention to one specific place within the experience, in one specific form, in order to change that experience. But if we were only to talk about the actual quality of presence, therefore experience, then from that point of view, it is a letting go, or a having let go, a complete letting go of the finite objects, and rather just focusing on the absolute. And since the volitional spirit is also from the absolute, once it acknowledges and recognizes itself, it can surrender to itself. It can surrender to its own absolute. It can surrender to its own infinity. And having, in a way, achieved that, then being present has a clarity, not to say absolute clarity necessarily, if that were desirable, but a clarity in the moment, in the experience, and of the objects that are around the center of that experience, which would be the body. And so, not to talk about any experiences outside of the body, but that point of reference, or the reference point for experiencing things from a surrendered point of view, a having already let go point of view and not interfering with the experience with the volitional spirit, an expansion occurs in the field of awareness and a depth to the experience as well, which could, I imagine, go to near infinity. But to go to infinity completely, I'm not sure if this experience would be desirable at any given moment. Maybe for particular moments, for particular types of achievements, and a particular type of experience. But to be able to deepen and expand the experience, whether it is pleasurable or painful, since it is without preference, it is just a letting go of the finite, letting go of finite objects, letting go of the particulars. And what letting go does, it nests oneself in its own absolute and allows the experience to occur to its natural depths and to its natural heights or natural expansions. So how does that letting go happen? How do we let go? Well, one of the ways to do it, because there are many ways, but one of the, I would say, simplest ways is to acknowledge space, recognize for what it is, infinite, and to experience the sentient quality within it. That might seem tricky since we are bound by habits. We are bound by the body's needs and desires. We are bound for survival mechanisms. This is why such things as meditation is extremely useful. And it doesn't have to be a meditation of sitting down, although that in itself does have a specific quality unique to itself. It could be done in any movement, any posture, in any moment and given in time. And once that is achieved enough, often enough, it can be returned to, kind of like identifying the road that leads somewhere. When that road is letting go, it is not you, the individual, that is guiding it, but it is the world as you that is showing you the way. And that way leads to an absolute. And when that absolute is reached, when a full surrender has been achieved of sorts, when a full letting go of the last necessary focus, then the natural focus of the self as a sentient quality, a sentient presence, a soft awareness of the softest kind, because it is passive in relation to your volition. It allows the world to reveal itself in all its splendor and all its negativity as well, or just is, and a new frame of reference is there built within the body of the experience that allows one to return to that. To maintain it is a different question, and it's a different process, but being able to return at will, so to speak, having built that road, it can be returned to more or less at any given moment in time. Or, to say it differently, to use time to return to that moment in order to maintain that moment and let it sit on its throne. Because the moment is eternal, and that point of reference of the eternity of the moment allows one to see and experience and sense time for what it is and for what it isn't. The self is eternal. It is absolute. It can act and it can let go. In letting go, it becomes the absolute. In acting, it uses the absolute. And so, letting go completely, we'll see that things actually move on their own, and that a constant interference or constant participation of oneself is not necessary, and new depths of insight and understanding occur. So one does not need to try to understand everything. The body naturally wants to understand, and in that understanding includes that self, and that in the letting go, things will happen. Good things will happen as well. And the depth of experience increases as to the heights and expansion, and an understanding that is natural to the world, letting the world reveal itself, is a beautiful thing.